We meet again at last. The circle is now complete.
What's the world coming to?
Well, you got a problem with what I did, Anthony?
Oh, no. Hey, no.
Fucking rat anyways. Whole family's all rats. Would have grew up to be a rat.
Stupid bastard. I can't fucking believe it.
Gee, I'm real sorry your mom blew up, Ricky.
Now you're gonna dig the fucking thing. You're gonna dig the hole. You're gonna do it. I got no fucking line. You're gonna do it.
Yes, I'll take the fucking hole. I don't give a fuck.
I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simply evil.
Jesus Christ. Mister, you okay in there?
Put some instant coffees around here someplace.
Have you any idea what the cost of your actions is? What their effect might be? Or you to give them hope? What do you give them? We give them happiness. And they give us authority. Groovy.
What's going on, friends? Logan Myerz back here for the Cinephellas Podcast, episode 81, and it's great to be back talking to you guys. And tonight I'm going to be interviewing a very talented actress from a new film called Fisherman's Friends. But before I get into that, I want to tell you what's going on with Cinephellas. We've been very busy lately. We just recorded episode 80 of the podcast with the Wild Cinephellas boys, and it was a great time talking about movies, TV shows, stuff in the entertainment business, and video games, and all that good stuff. But you can check that out right over on our YouTube channel. Besides that, we have a fellas giveaway. We're giving away the digital code of Season 2 of Hulu's Castle Rock in the Stephen King universe. Going to be giving away that digital code this Thursday. You can find that video over on our YouTube channel website as well. Henry and I just recorded a bunch of video reviews. We just posted our thoughts on the upcoming PlayStation 5, the next generation of gaming, where we talk about upcoming video games, the hardware specs of the new PlayStation console, and some video games we'd like to see released on the new PS5. But besides that, over on Cinephellas.com, you guys should go definitely check that out for all your cinephilic needs. We have a lot of great content with all our stuff on our YouTube channel, some written reviews, some movie posters, and news as well. Our good mate, Armando Venegas, just reviewed I Know This Much Is True, that new miniseries on HBO, starring that dreamboat, Mark Ruffalo, playing twins. And it's a really great review write-up about the 6 episodes on HBO that's currently streaming. So if you guys have not checked that out, definitely head on over to HBO and watch the episodes and support the show. It's supposed to be really phenomenal. And then head on over to Cinephellas.com to check out Armando's thoughts on it. We got some great reviews such as The Five Bloods by our mate Kevin Muller out in the East Coast. He reviewed Spike Lee's newest film that's on Netflix. I reviewed I Know What You Did Last Summer, a little retro review back from 1997 slasher flick. Definitely doesn't hold up, but my review is on our website, YouTube channel. I also did a Halloween Kills teaser trailer reaction video that you can find. And then last, we had The Last of Us Part 2 as part of our Level Up video game series for Cinephellas, where we talk about video games and things like that. And my full thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2, and all I can say is, boo! I know people feel differently about it, but I'm on the side of not really enjoying the game. But, you know, maybe one of these days I'll get around to replaying it. Maybe my thoughts will change. If you guys haven't already, head on over to Cinephellas.com to see all of our reviews, and also head on over to our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Subscribe and like, and we would greatly appreciate it. But I had the opportunity of checking out the new independent film Fisherman's Friends that's directed by Chris Vaughan, and I really enjoyed this film, and it made my top films of the year in 2020. It's a really feel-good underdog story about a group of fishermen from Cornwall, which is in England. They get signed to Universal Records and achieve a top 10 hit. And all they basically do is sing a bunch of old sea shanties, and it's just really, really cool premise. It's based on a true story. There really is a Fisherman's Friends that tour and sing, and really great music. It reminds me much of like Dropkick Murphys, get around drinking some pints and singing some old tunes, and that's pretty much the setup of the film. A lot of great acting, the writing, the script in this film is really well done. And I had the opportunity of interviewing the actress in the film, Tuppence Middleton. She plays Alwyn, which is like the love interest of the main character in the film, played by Daniel Mays. He plays Danny. he basically comes into this small England town from London and discovers them and really wants to get them a record deal and everybody to see the pure talent in the, lackluster world of pop music. He really wants the world to see this group of fishermen that are talented, that get together and sing and have a good time, and it's all about the music, and it's not about money and fame and all that good stuff. They have normal jobs, being on a boat and catching fish, but they're really humble people, and they do it for the love of music and the happiness it brings them and their family. So I thought it was a really great story premise, again, based on a true story, and one of my favorite films of the year. I was really surprised how much I enjoyed this. The score, the music, the camera work in this film is top notch, and definitely a film I want you guys to check out when it's released this week. But today I had the opportunity to interview Tuppence about her role in the film, experience making this film, how it was filmed in England, talking about, the overall themes. There's a lot of great themes in this film. Filming in England, the small town, and how it has that small town feel, away from the city life. Everything's a little bit more calm and tight-knit in smaller communities. You really see that in the film. She also talks about working with James Purefoy, which I'm a huge fan of. I loved him in the show with Kevin Bacon, The Following, and then Daniel Mays, who plays Danny in the film. What it was like working with them in the cast, but I really loved her in the show on Netflix called Sense8, which was a really great science fiction show, sci-fi show, if you guys haven't seen it. It's currently on Netflix, so definitely check it out. And this is my interview with Tuppence Middleton. Let's get to it, shall we? Hey, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Not doing too bad. We're huge fans of your work and love your performance in Fisherman's Friends. I had some questions for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so first the question, how did you get involved with this project?
Well, the script came to me through the kind of ordinary route, I guess, just through my agent. But I really responded to it initially because Cornwall, where the film is set, is not exactly where my family are from, but my family are from the West Country of England, and that sort of village life that was being portrayed in the film is very much the kind of community that I grew up in. So I really loved kind of seeing a film that was celebrating the simplicity of that kind of life. Yeah, and then I immediately went to YouTube and found the Fisherman's Friends music and just thought it was incredible. I hadn't heard anything like that, and it was amazing to see that people were still singing and hearing this kind of music today. It was great that tradition was being carried on, so I was so keen to learn more about it.
Absolutely. So were you familiar with like Sea Shanties and the Fisherman's Friends before making the film, or just found out about it on YouTube?
No, I actually wasn't. And I'm really surprised that I hadn't heard about them actually, because then as soon as I started looking into them, there was all of this stuff available and all these amazing performances and they, of course, their Glastonbury set. And so I hadn't heard of them, and I was surprised that that more people hadn't actually, but they do have a really big following. And when we were filming down in Port Isaac, it was amazing to see the crowds that they drew. They were, it would fill the whole beachfront in the village. It was really incredible.
Oh, that's fantastic. What was like the overall experience like making this film?
It was so lovely because we were shooting in it was in May, I think, and it was like unseasonably hot at the time. And what was great about it was that really the sort of summer season in the village there, which usually does draw huge crowds, is typically from kind of June to August. So we got in just before a lot of the tourists filled the streets, and I mean really filled the streets because they're tiny little streets. It's a really, really small village. So we had this whole village to ourselves really, and it was just us and the locals, and they really took us under their wing because what was amazing is that most of the cast stayed in the village in these little cottages, and I would just walk to work every day. It took me 2 minutes to walk up the hill, have my hair and makeup done, and then we would just kind of walk to the location because everything was so close. And then after work, everyone would go to the local pub that is in the film, and would sit and listen to the actual band sing sea shanties in the pub, and they really do that. It wasn't for our benefit. So it was like being on holiday. It wasn't really like shooting a film.
That's awesome. That's like a dream for me, just to hang out in a town like that. I've never been to England.
Oh, it was heaven.
Yeah, it seems like it from the movie, and just the scenery is absolutely beautiful. I'm like, if I retire, I'm going to move there.
It's one of those things, I think, that especially from like other people's point of view looking at the UK, it's like this kind of idyllic version of what it's like here. And, you know, because I grew up in a town that wasn't exactly like that, but wasn't dissimilar, then I've been living in London, in the city, for the last 15 years. So it was like going back in time. Like, it was so amazing, but you realise the value of being, you know, by the sea and having a slower pace of life, because it really made me think, wow, this is just a much simpler way to live.
Yeah, and that's a life for me. I've lived in cities most of my life. I would totally live in a small village overlooking the ocean any day. So it's pretty impressive, you know, this group of fishermen achieved a top 10 hit, still managed to stay true to themselves. What do you think the overall theme or message is in this movie?
Well, one of the things that I really took away from filming it was, especially kind of living and experiencing that community lifestyle, was how important it is to preserve these communities. And I think that it's so tempting for people who live in the city to want to buy homes in beautiful seaside or like rural locations as holiday homes. But then you get to see the other side of that when you go and stay in a place like that, where you think, oh wow, that there's so many little cottages there or places which would otherwise be the homes for local villagers, which are being bought as holiday homes, and then for the majority of the year they're vacant. And that's a really sad thing, that if you're born and raised in a village like that, if you aren't able to afford to live there because you're being priced out by people coming in from the city and making money off of rental properties, then there's no sense of community, because you don't have people it's like a very transient thing. So I felt like it was really about the strength of community and staying true to yourself, and you know how important it is to support each other and to not lose sight of the things that matter in life. You know, love and family and friendship.
Absolutely. So with that being said, do you think a lot of audience can relate to that?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that especially now, having gone through lockdown and all of those things, I think that, well, I hope that people have found a newfound appreciation for the relationships they have in their life, for friendships and for seeing their family, and how important that actually is, how much we take it for granted when we don't have access to that anymore. And I think it's been a very lonely time, lockdown. I think it's forced a lot of people to kind of focus on what they want from life and what really matters. So I think that, yeah, I think it's a very relatable thing. And I think that when there are lots of difficult things going on in the world, which it seems like this year has just thrown one corker after another at us, then I think films like that and messages like that, which are actually quite simple at their core, are really important. That, you know, that we have to sort of stick together, and that it's there's a kind of kind and loving way to solve our problems. I mean, maybe that sounds really airy-fairy, but you know what I mean? I think there's so much conflict and difficulty that I think it's important to stay in touch with the people that we love the most and that are closest to us.
Absolutely. And what I love about this movie, it's a feel-good, underdog story. And this is a movie we need in 2020. With everything going on, we need a feel-good, true story and, rooting for the underdog.
Yes.
It just really worked for me. I loved it. It's like one of my favorite flicks of the year for sure.
Oh, cool. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. It was really cool too as well, from like the point of view of like the roles that you can sometimes be offered as an actress. I think that what was really lovely about Alwyn in this was that she was a single mother who was like getting on with it, who was coping. It wasn't like it wasn't about her finding a man or finding someone, you know what I mean? It was like very much like she was really headstrong and knew herself, and that's what I really loved reading the script, that she was opinionated and wasn't willing to compromise herself for someone else. I thought that was really strong.
One of the best performances in the movie. With that being said, what was it like working with James Purefoy and Daniel Mays, the father and like love interest in the film?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, like I said, it was so nice to stay in the village because we all got to know each other, and it was basically on our way back from wherever the production base was, into our perspective, all the places we were all staying. Then you walk past a pub, so it's like it would be rude not to go in and to have a pint with the locals. So it was really like a real kind of family atmosphere. And what's lovely about working with James Purefoy is that he's from a very similar area to the one that my family are all from, the kind of villages in Somerset in the West Country that I'm from. So we kind of immediately had that bond. It felt like we had that shared kind of knowledge of what it's like to grow up in a village like that. So that was kind of a great shorthand, when you're playing someone's daughter or someone's father, then you often have to sort of fast track an intimacy within however many days of meeting them, to then suddenly being on set and being believable as this person's daughter. But that was really helpful that we had come from a very similar background.
It had really good chemistry on camera, and it really felt like cohesive, like a family relationship. So I thought you guys pulled that off pretty well.
Mm.
With the pandemic, lockdown, coronavirus, have you been watching any good TV shows or movies lately? And if so, would you recommend any?
Oh yeah, I think that I'm probably not alone in saying that I loved Normal People, which was huge here. I don't know if you've had it there yet in the States, based on the Sally Rooney book. I thought that was just beautifully done. There's been a great series on TV over here called I May Destroy You by a writer called Michaela Cole, who wrote and starred in it, and it's really brilliant. Television. And I also watched a film that it wasn't out this year, but that I really loved by a German director called Christian Petzold, and the film's called Transit. And I thought it was so beautiful and kind of simple and elegant that I would definitely recommend that. And he also has a new film out called Undine, I think.
Cool. I have not heard of those, but I will definitely add those to the queue. So that's thanks for the recommendation.
Cool.
Next question I have: do you have any advice for up and coming actresses?
I think confidence is one of the most important things. I think that having confidence in yourself and trusting in your gut instinct and your voice, because you do have a voice, and it's okay to use it. I also think that for people wanting to go into the acting profession, this is probably terrible advice, but my advice would be if you give yourself a plan B, then you might take it. So I never had another option. I didn't have anything else up my sleeve which I wanted to do as much as this. That's probably my terrible advice that I'm sure lots of parents across the land will scorn me for. But yeah, I always felt like it's a very tricky profession to go into. It's very, there's many more people that are out of work than those that are in work. But I think that if it's something you feel passionately enough about, and it's all you want to do, then put your everything into it. And then if the opportunities aren't coming, then create your own and write and do everything you can to kind of to be a part of the work that you want to see on screen.
No, that's really good advice. So the last question I have is
I don't know.
No, it's good. Last question is two-parter. Do you have any upcoming projects, and where can we find you on social media?
Well, yes, I have three projects which are due to come out. Possessor, which is a Brandon Cronenberg film. Meg, which is a David Fincher film, which I'm really excited about. And last year I shot a series called Shadow Play by the creators of The Bridge, the Swedish series. And I think it's such a brilliant script, and I'm very excited for that to come out too. But I'm not sure when those things. I think, COVID has thrown everything out of whack. So I'm not sure about dates, but those are the next three things that I'll be in that are coming up. Oh, and socials. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and I think my Twitter is @Tuppence, and my Instagram is @Tuppence Middleton, but it's not spelled how my name is spelled.
Okay.
It's spelled like TOO Pence Middleton. But if you just type in my normal name, I think it will come up. So I'm on those two.
Oh, awesome. I'll have to follow you, and we'll post up the interview. But yeah, definitely. We'll have to keep in touch. It was a pleasure talking to you about this new film. We had a great time with it. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to get interviewed for Cinephellas. And hopefully you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. It was lovely talking to you.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you too. Have a good day. So that was my interview with Tuppence, and you guys can see that she's a really sincere, smart young woman, actress that's been working for a while, really pulling a great performance in Fisherman's Friends. She does a really great job working alongside James Purefoy, who plays her father, and then her love interest, Daniel Mays, in the film. And one of the best performances, again, one of my top movies of the year, and I really can't speak highly enough of this film, and I'm really excited for you guys to check this out on your own, and hopefully you fall into the world of a feel-good underdog story. And you can see how this group of fishermen gave up their lives, their family, their friends, their jobs to pursue music, and how that all works out for them. But a really great conversation, really great question. She was very insightful. Gave me a lot of great information working in England, also growing up in England, and what it's like, being in a small English community like Cornwall compared to London, how it's completely different. The overall vibe and the atmosphere is completely different. It's definitely more calm. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this conversation with Tuppence Middleton. We got a lot more interviews for Cinephellas coming up in the next few months. A lot of interviews with actors, actresses, directors, producers, and all those people in the film industry. Even though there's not much going on and they're pushing back release dates of movies, we still have a lot of great independent films people don't know about. They're being released on digital and video on demand, and we will be talking about them more on Cinephellas. Besides that, we still got a lot of great projects coming our way. We're shooting another podcast for the Cinephellas boys this coming Sunday. We got some more videos coming up this week. We have a Batman Forever retro review, and we also have a Back to the Future retro review coming out. We have a Fellas giveaway and videos coming to our YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that. This is Logan Myerz signing out from that wild Cinephellas Studios. Until the next podcast, cheers!